Hello and welcome to my video where I'm going to show you how to sew a peeled banana plushie. This is a fun sewing project to do, and although there are a fair few pieces of fabric involved, the steps aren't difficult. In order to follow along, you're going to need some yellow and cream coloured fabrics, some paper and a pen or pencil, a disappearing or magic fabric pen, a ruler and a tape measure, a pair of scissors, some sewing pins and clips, toy stuffing, an iron and ironing board, a sewing machine, a sewing needle and matching thread, and if you have them, a rotary cutter and a cutting mat. Okay, so the first step is to cut out the paper templates. I drew mine freehand, but you'll need to print them out on separate sheets and tape them together. I personally needed to tape two A3 pieces of paper together in order to fit the templates on. Here are the shapes that you'll need, and you'll find a link to these templates in the description box below. If you want to make the banana the same size as mine, which is about 38 centimeters or 15 inches long, then you'll need the largest template piece to be about 53 centimeters or 21 inches long. You may notice during this video that I made the largest shape a little bit too big, but these templates are now the correct proportions. If, on the other hand, you want to change the shape and make your own templates, then you first need to draw the curved banana shape and then draw the two ovals. The sides of the small oval need to equal the length of the shortest curved side of the banana shape, and the sides of the large oval need to equal the length of the longest curved side of the banana shape. Also note that when you're cutting these pieces out, make sure you fold them in half to end up with symmetrical shapes. Then place the large oval shape onto your yellow fabric and draw around it using your disappearing fabric pen. Then cut along this line. Then cut this piece in half, straight down the middle. As you can see, I just folded it in half and then cut it. Next, you want to cut out two banana shapes. So fold the fabric over to give you a double layer, then place the banana shape on top, then draw around this shape using your fabric pen. Use pins to hold the two layers together whilst you cut along this line. This will give you two banana shapes that are mirror images of each other. And lastly, draw around the smallest oval template and cut that out as well. You should now have 5 separate pieces of fabric. You then need to cut out some more yellow fabric pieces, but before you do that, you need to draw some lines onto your paper templates. First, draw a line straight across the centre of each shape. Then draw lines 1 inch either side of this centre line. Then once again, cut these shapes out from the yellow fabric, but this time you only need these pieces to be 1 inch longer than half length. To do this, I lined up the lowest drawn line with a straight line I drew on the fabric. Then I drew around the paper above this line and cut the shapes out. Finally, you need to take the curved fabric piece you just cut out, turn it over and use it as a template to cut out an identical but mirror image piece. These pieces will form the inner banana peel. And now you'll need to sew the outer peel pieces together with their matching inner peel pieces. So take the two smaller oval pieces and clip them together right sides facing. Note that the reason I use clips rather than sewing pins is that pins distort the fleece because of its thickness. You can buy clips that are specifically for this purpose, but I just used what was lying around, so I'm using binder clips and paper clips. Then sew around the outer edges where the inner and outer peel meet, as you can see here. Please note that I used roughly 1/4 inch seam allowance throughout this project. It's also best to use a longer than usual stitch length because the fleece is quite thick. I used either 3.5 or 4mm long stitches. Cut the large oval section in half. Then clip these pieces together with their matching outer peel pieces. Then sew them together like so. As always, make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and the end of the line to secure the thread. And then repeat the process for the banana shapes. So clip the outer peel and inner peel pieces together, right sides facing. And then sew them together like so. Next, you need to cut out the pieces of fabric that will form the actual banana. So lay the banana fabric out flat, which in my case is a cream coloured calico, and cut out the exact same shapes as you did for the inner peel. So you use the lowest drawn line on the templates, and that will give you 4 pieces. And then as before, you need to cut the large oval piece in half. Then take the small oval section and pin it to the short curved edge of a banana shaped piece, making sure, as always, that the right sides are facing. Then sew these pieces together. When sewing the calico, I still used a seam allowance of about 1/4 inch, but I reduced the stitch length to 2.5mm. Then attach the other banana shaped piece on the other side of the oval in the exact same way. This will make a symmetrical shape. Then pin and sew together the 2 halves of the large oval along the straight edge. You'll now have 2 pieces of fabric, and you need to pin and sew these together along one edge. So pin them together right sides facing, and then sew along this curved edge. Then press open the seams with an iron, and that will make them look like this. Complete the cone shape by sewing the final 2 edges together. Turn the shape right sides out. And then fill with stuffing. Next, you need to sew the yellow fabric pieces together, and this process is very similar to how you made the banana. So first, just attach the banana shaped pieces to either side of the smallest oval. Note that you only want to sew the single layers of the peel together. The double layer sections are left alone. If the lines where the double layer of fabric starts don't quite line up, then just sew up to the first line. Whichever way you do it, just make sure you don't sew inside the lines where you've sewn the double layer together. Also make sure that the single layers have their right sides facing each other when they're sewn. You then need to sew the two halves of the large oval together along the straight edge. Again, you only want to do this along the single layer of fleece. You should now have two separate pieces of fabric, like so, and you now need to join these together. Along one edge first, and then the other. This will complete the peel. Turn everything right sides out, including the inner peel sections. Then add stuffing to the peel, making sure to get it all the way down to the point. Line up the banana shape inside this peel so that the curves match up. Then use a needle and a thread to sew the inner peel to the banana, right sides together. I used the invisible stitch, so I just secured the thread at the beginning, then went in and out of one fabric, then crossed over to the other fabric and went in and out, and repeated that all along the seam. Every inch or two you just need to pull on the thread parallel to the seam, and that will close up that seam. I have a separate video all about the invisible stitch if you want a slower demo. A few inches before you complete the seam, make sure you add more stuffing until the banana is completely firm all over, and then you can finish sewing the seam. At the end, you just need to secure your thread one more time. As you can see here, there were a few areas where the peel pieces didn't join completely together, so I also joined these with the invisible stitch. Basically, you just need to neaten up all of your seams. In order to fix the problem of the largest oval being too long, in my case, I simply cut off the excess. I initially wanted to make a cone out of some leather effect vinyl and put that on the end of the banana. However, it just didn't look right. So in the end, I used a needle and thread to go into and out of the fabric, around and around at the end. And then pulled this in like a drawstring bag, making sure to push all of the excess fabric inside the plushie. You then just secure the thread, take the needle into the plushie and out again to hide the end of the thread, and that's it, the peeled banana plushie is complete. And here you can see a few more photos of the finished result. I really hope you enjoyed this sewing project, and thank you very much for watching.